Oh, brother. George Clooney compares selfless Joe Biden to George Washington for stepping aside and let Kamala Harris run. Now, quitting in the middle of your first term is comparable to establishing the United States. We're uncovering this debacle and the insanity of George Clooney on Beyond the Headlines, only on Vigilant News. This segment is sponsored by Goldco, helping Americans protect their retirement and savings with real gold and silver at vnngold.com. I'm Elijah Schaefer. Let's start the show. Well, stepping aside because you're mentally unfit to run for president, not only that, but you were unfit to run the first time, and you've been unfit while you're currently running the country, or so they have us think. The Gateway Pundit reports that George Clooney compares selfless Joe Biden to George Washington for stepping aside. Listen, after George Clooney recently compared Joe Biden to George Washington because he dropped out of the 2024 race, this is a ridiculous issue on so many levels. First, Joe Biden did not step aside voluntarily. He was pushed out. He was forced out of the 2024 race by the power players of the Democrat Party. Second, George Clooney was a central part of the coup to get rid of Biden. He even wrote a column for the New York Times demanding that Biden drop out. Now, this is an exercise that some people on the left are going through to make themselves feel better about the fact that they were screwed over millions of their own primary voters to get Biden out of the race and install Kamala Harris as the nominee. Now, George Clooney went on record explaining, we've got to not only worship Biden, but we've got to respect him like he's George Washington. Listen to this ludicrous speech.
The person who should be applauded is the president who did the most selfless thing that anybody's done since George Washington. And that's true. And so anybody, all the machinations that got us there, that's all, none of that's going to be remembered. And it shouldn't be. What should be remembered is the selfless act of someone who, it's very hard to let go of power. We know that. We've seen it, all around the world. And for someone to say, I think there's a better way forward, that's all the credit goes to him, and that's really the truth. And all the rest of it will be long gone and forgotten. And so I'm just very proud of where we are in the state of the world right now, which I think many people are surprised by, and I think we're all very excited for the future.
Yeah, since George Washington stepped aside and didn't allow himself to become dictator and king, this is what happened. Being mentally unfit to run a country and stepping aside because you were pushed out for the next establishment candidate, it's remarkable how ignorant these people are. Now, you might be asking yourself, are Kamala Harris's supporters stupid enough, or maybe ignorant enough, because I don't want to mock Americans just because I disagree with them, to actually believe that this was selfless and that, Joe Biden stepped aside voluntarily? Well, there's a new guy on the street, and his name is, I believe his name is Nick Shirley. He's a street entertainer / journalist, and he records people on the street and asks them their question. Listen to what Kamala Harris's supporters said.
For all the people that were voting for Donald Trump, what would be your message to try to get them to vote Kamala Harris?
Just ask, do you really want to lose all your rights and live under a bone-grinding dictator? And then go ahead and vote for Trump, and you're welcome to what you get.
But the thing that worries me is that many of his followers don't think.
Yeah.
They just don't think.
Do you guys think it's strange that Joe Biden got sick and then all of a sudden Kamala was next to be in line? Do you think that was planned for Joe Biden to get sick and to replace him with Kamala?
No, not planned. No. If he'd felt, I believe, completely physically and mentally well, he would not have dropped out. But I think that a number of wise people,
especially Nancy Pelosi,
Exactly.
from San Francisco, we love her.
talked to him frankly 2 or 3 times and said, "Look, you're clearly right now in a physical and mental decline. Best thing on earth for you and for everybody in the United States would be to drop out."
Yeah. So you think he was kind of forced out of office?
Forced. He didn't, in an absolute sense, he wouldn't have dropped. But I think he was realistic enough and intelligent enough to understand that he was questionably able to discharge the office, and everybody had a negative view of him, and he would really have swung a huge part of the election in the ghastly direction.
You think Donald Trump is a threat to democracy?
Oh my God, yes.
Yes.
Oh yes. That's what I just said. He thinks like a dictator. He wants to be a dictator. You vote for him, you're going to get a dictator. and I mean dictator.
What kind of things would he do as a dictator? Just curious.
First thing he would do would be to abolish the next presidential election and try to get into a position where he was dictator for life.
He already said, vote for me and you'll never have another election.
Really? So they think that he stepped aside in a way that actually acknowledges the fact that he was incompetent, or that this was somehow bravery. They think that he did it voluntarily, or the fact is that maybe he didn't, and they admit that, but they're unwilling to admit that there was a coup. This was a coup that took place. I mean, they didn't want him to lose, so then they pushed Kamala. We'll see if she survives after the debate. Now, as many of you guys know, that the 2024 election is on our doorstep, and Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are knocking on your door. They're pushing for higher taxes, and even taxes on unrealized gains. Can you imagine that? Paying taxes on something that you never took profits on? What would that do to the economy? Will they come for your money? Will they come for your house? Well, I don't really know, but don't wait to find out. Learn how you can protect and diversify everything you've worked for with the top-rated precious metals company, Goldco. Goldco has over 6,000 five-star reviews, a bunch of awards, and has helped people just like you purchase over $2.5 billion in gold and silver. Visit vnngold.com. That's vnngold.com. Your free 2024 gold and silver kit, plus up to a 10% instant match on bonus silver for qualified accounts. Learn how precious metals like gold and silver can help you at vnngold.com. That's vnngold.com today. Check it out. Now, as I mentioned, when you talk about how ridiculous these people are and how crazy his supporters can be, look no further than my friend here, George Clooney, who everybody knows not only promoted the vaccine, but also told everybody it should be mandatory. These are the kind of people that claim to care about the country. Watch.
I support mandatory vaccines. Period. I think every company should do it. Listen, I don't care. To me, it's really simple. We can look out for one another and take care of one another, or we cannot. It's that simple. And all the people want to talk about their independence and their freedom. You're free to fall down the stairs. You're not free to drive. The minute you're free to infringe on everyone else's, so I believe very much. As we did with polio, as we do measles and mumps and everything else, I think it is. And we'll get there.
Just to continue what you were saying about vaccines,
Yeah.
do you feel a backlash from the anti-vaxxers, and does that ever bother you in any circumstance?
No, because the truth of the matter is, I was listening to a podcast the other day about the polio vaccine, which they screwed up when they first put out, which I didn't remember. I didn't know. I was too young. One factory actually ended up giving a bunch of kids polio and killing them because they weren't filtering out the formaldehyde. We haven't had any of those problems with the vaccine. It's been pretty successful. And there were lots of skeptics then, and it took a few years, a couple, 3 years to get their act together. That's what's going to happen. We'll get our act together. We'll get it done. We have to.
Well, you can listen to exactly what he said there. He does support mandatory vaccines. Now, we know the vaccines are not helpful, as they were promised to be, and have caused, it appears, more deaths and harmful side effects than lives they've saved, although their data there is arguable between skeptics and experts, who now we know are compromised. But, George Clooney is not one we should be trusting for information. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video, and if you want to help us fight against the mainstream media, sign up to get videos like this on our website, vigilantnews.com, to receive our newsletter. You can also watch our videos on rumble.com and on X. We are at Vigilant News. Have a great rest of the week, and may God bless the United States of America. I'm signing out.